Welcome to Echo of Crime YouTube channel. He was known by many names: James Harris in Texas, David Cole in Georgia, Michael Reed in Illinois. But behind every name, there was the same face, a calm smile, perfect manners, and a voice that could make anyone feel safe. He called himself a businessman, a widower, a man looking for a second chance at love. For the women who met him, he was everything they dreamed of. He remembered birthdays, sent flowers to their workplace, and always spoke about building a future together. He never raised his voice, never showed anger, just the quiet confidence of a man who seemed too good to be true. And he was. Between 2002 and 2010, this man traveled across the United States, marrying or getting engaged to 7 different women, all without ever divorcing the last. He left a trail of broken hearts, empty bank accounts, and fake identities that would take investigators years to piece together. In Atlanta, Georgia, he met Lydia, a nurse who believed he was a real estate investor. Within months, he convinced her to open a joint bank account so they could buy their dream home. Weeks later, he drained the account and disappeared. In Dallas, Texas, he told another woman he was a decorated military officer recently retired from service. She believed him, until the uniforms, medals, and paperwork she found were all revealed to be counterfeit. Every city brought a new name, a new identity, and a new story. He registered fake businesses, used prepaid phones, and forged driver's licenses. When he sensed suspicion, he moved on, sometimes overnight. To his victims, he wasn't just a scammer, he was a ghost. But what made him so effective wasn't technology, it was psychology. He knew exactly what to say to make women trust him. He mirrored their emotions, listened more than he spoke, and played the part of a man they had always imagined existed. He didn't just steal money, he stole belief. By 2009, several women across different states had filed complaints with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3, describing a man with similar features, similar charm, and the same heartbreaking pattern. But at the time, online dating scams were still new, and law enforcement wasn't yet equipped to track romantic fraud across multiple jurisdictions. That was until one woman in Florida decided she wouldn't be just another name on his list. She tracked his social media, collected his fake photos, and called the FBI directly. And what agents discovered next would unravel a web of lies stretching across the entire country. When the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center received the report from Florida in 2010, the story sounded familiar, almost too familiar. The victim, a woman named Rachel, said she'd been engaged to a man who disappeared just weeks before their wedding, taking more than $40,000 from her savings. He had shown her pictures of his military deployments, sent romantic emails from different addresses, and even introduced her to a fake brother over the phone. Another voice played by himself. The agent reviewing her case froze. He had seen this exact pattern before, not once, but several times. Similar complaints had come from Texas, Georgia, Illinois, and North Carolina. Each story had small differences, but the same script. A charming man, a quick romance, a proposal, joint finances, and then vanishing without a trace. Soon, the FBI realized they were not chasing a local scammer. They were hunting a cross-state con artist who had mastered emotional manipulation. Through phone records and email traces, agents discovered at least 7 different aliases tied to the same voice and digital footprint. He used prepaid cell phones, public libraries, and motel Wi-Fi to hide his online trail. His digital signatures were always short, just enough contact to win trust, but not enough to trace. His favorite targets were widows and divorced professionals in their 30s and 40s, women who were successful, kind, and independent, yet open to love. He would spend weeks studying their Facebook posts, LinkedIn profiles, and dating app bios to learn their favorite music, family stories, and values. When he reached out, he already knew everything about them, making his first impression flawless. In one case, he used the identity of a real Navy officer, complete with stolen service photos and forged credentials. The uniform, medals, and ID badge were perfect imitations. When his victims asked for proof, he would video call them briefly, wearing the uniform, standing against a background flag, always claiming bad connection before ending the call. It was a romance built on illusion, love by design. By mid-2011, the FBI assembled a special task force with agents from multiple states. They began mapping his travel routes through credit card receipts, car rentals, and hotel logs. What they found shocked even seasoned investigators. He had overlapping relationships with several women at the same time. While James Harris was living with a woman in Texas, David Cole was proposing to another in Florida, and Michael Reed was opening a bank account with a third woman in Georgia. Each woman believed she was his only partner. Each woman was preparing to build a life with him. When agents cross-referenced his photo IDs, they realized all 7 identities shared one common detail: the same smile. And then came the break they were waiting for. One of his victims, Angela, remembered a strange detail. He always carried the same silver laptop, even to dinner. When he left her, she found an old receipt in her car with a serial number written on it. That single detail led investigators to trace his purchase at an electronics store in Nashville, Tennessee. The first real lead in nearly a decade. The FBI quietly began surveillance. They contacted the store and discovered the laptop had been repaired twice under a different name, John Donald Cody. The name matched a known con artist already on federal watch lists for identity theft, forgery, and fraud. After nearly 10 years, the FBI had their man. He wasn't just a serial scammer. He was a professional criminal who had lived as 7 different husbands, managed dozens of fake lives, and left no trace behind except heartbreak and debt. In the summer of 2011, agents tracked a signal from one of his prepaid phones to a quiet suburban neighborhood in Knoxville, Tennessee. Inside one of those houses lived a woman who believed she was engaged to marry a man named David. The FBI decided not to knock. They waited, and what they saw next would shock even them. For weeks, the FBI quietly watched the small White House in Knoxville, Tennessee. The man they were hunting, now using the name David Cole, was living a quiet, middle-class life with a new woman who thought she had met her soulmate. He cooked dinner every night, took out the trash, and kissed her goodbye every morning before leaving for his real estate job. She had no idea the man she loved was on a nationwide watch list. On August 7, 2011, agents moved in. At exactly 6:43 a.m., unmarked SUVs surrounded the block. As he stepped outside, carrying a briefcase, 2 FBI agents approached him calmly. He looked up, confused, as one agent said his real name aloud. "John Donald Cody, FBI. You're under arrest." For a moment, everything went silent. He didn't run. He didn't argue. He just smiled. When they searched his car, agents found 5 driver's licenses, 3 social security cards, 2 wedding rings, and multiple passports, all with different names, but the same photo. Inside his briefcase were bank documents, a small flash drive, and photos of women he had recently targeted online. As the news broke, women from across the country started coming forward. 7 wives, 3 fiancés, and at least 12 additional victims who had all been conned out of money, homes, or trust. They all told the same story. The same voice, the same smile, the same lies about being a widower, a businessman, or a veteran. The FBI's digital forensics team began analyzing his laptop. What they found was shocking: a digital journal detailing his methods, routines, and even notes about each woman's emotional triggers. He had written things like, "Lydia likes when I talk about family. Rachel trusts easily when I mention faith. Angela gets nervous about money, move slow." Each line read like a psychological blueprint of deceit. He wasn't improvising. He was orchestrating. In court, prosecutors described him as a man who didn't just steal money. He engineered trust. He used love the way hackers use passwords, to gain access to what's locked away. During the trial, the courtroom was filled with women from across the country. Some were crying, others angry, others numb. Many of them had never met each other until that day, strangers bound by the same heartbreak. One of them, Rachel from Florida, faced him directly on the stand and said, "You didn't just steal my money. You stole years of my life. You stole my faith in people." He looked at her but said nothing. In 2013, the court found John Donald Cody guilty of multiple counts of fraud, identity theft, and bigamy. He was sentenced to 28 years in federal prison, one of the longest sentences ever given for romance fraud at the time. As the judge read the sentence, Cody showed no emotion. But in a quiet moment before being escorted away, he whispered to one of the marshals, "They'll never really know who I am." And maybe he was right. To this day, the full extent of his crimes remains unknown. Some investigators believe there may have been more than 20 victims, women who never came forward, still living with unanswered questions and unpaid debts. After his arrest, the FBI used his case to launch a new division focused on romance fraud and emotional scams, crimes that target trust instead of technology. The investigation helped shape how modern agencies track online predators who use love as bait. Many of his victims later rebuilt their lives, forming a small support network online to warn others about financial and emotional scams. Some even became advocates, speaking at seminars to help prevent other women from falling for similar tricks. Today, the name John Donald Cody is still used in FBI training materials, not as a hacker, a thief, or a killer, but as a manipulator. A reminder that in the digital age, danger doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it wears a wedding ring.